Stories we hope made it a good feeling to know. Eyewitness News.
Are you and your partner able to cope with changes in your marriage? Perhaps there are times when you feel distant or feel that love has gone from your marriage. The pastoral counseling...
And some of you will be driving and drinking tonight, something that statistically you shouldn't do because people do get killed that way, as you know. One of the #1 causes of death among young people 16 to 24 years of age. And tonight, we continue our Kids Square Off by asking the question, would you ride in a car tonight or any other night with someone who has been drinking? Brian Scher.
Well, definitely not, because a lot of my friends recently have been killed. A few of my friends have been killed drinking and driving, and others of my friends have been injured, and, you know, it's definitely bad.
Julie Shapiro.
I think that it's a bad situation. I don't think I would ever, unless I could help it, get in the car with someone who's drinking.
Chip Dates.
Well, of course, I wouldn't get into a car with someone who's been drinking to excess, but certain situations you can't help it. I would try and drive them home if I could.
John Lofton III.
Well, I don't think I'd get in a car with someone who was drunk, but I have been in a car with someone who was drinking before, and I don't think that would stop me now, but if they were drunk, definitely not.
Does it bother you kids that that 16 to 24-year-olds, the #1 cause of death is accidents involving alcohol? Does that bother you? And if so, what are you doing about it?
Well, in our community, they have a new thing where our Laurel Police Department has bought a mobile breathalyzer test unit. And this has brought up a lot of controversy in our neighborhood because it seems to me and a lot of other people in the neighborhood that they are testing the amount of alcohol in your breath and they're not testing if you're drunk or not. Because feasibly you could take a sip of a beer that could test you 1 second later and they'd say you were sloshed, but in fact you would have just taken your first drink.
I think the hard to accept truth is that people are still going to keep drinking and driving, and I think there's going to be more, still more deaths. And I don't really think it's going to stop. I mean, kids, after one of their friends might have died, they might be saying, well, I'm never going to drink and drive, and soon everything, it'll flurry away from that incident.
Learn the hard way.
Next party happens again, will never happen to me. People saying, boom, it's them.
Most people have to learn the hard way.
Right.
Go ahead.
Make our audience understand why kids your age, who and none of you, I mean, you're all 18, 17, almost 16, and why kids your age have to drink when the law is 21 years of age in the state? Why do kids have to drink?
It's a lubricant for a party.
It's
when
a
you
social
go to
thing.
party,
You go to a party, the parents aren't home, and you drink. That's what you do on Saturday nights.
Well, #1, why aren't the parents home when you go to parties?
Because no one would have a
Because
party
kids are
unless their
drinking.
parents weren't gone.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
They won't drink if the parents are
when was the last time your kids have a party?
Of course, my parents, they let us have parties all the time. No alcohol, of course,
Of course.
You say it's the in thing to do. What does that mean?
Well, every Saturday night, it's like, well, are you going to have beer? Is there going to be beer at the party? Most people won't go places. Most kids our age, 9th through 12th graders at high schools won't go to parties where there aren't beer.
Why?
The parties don't get started and they don't stay going.
Right, speak up.
I don't
The
think
parties don't get started, excuse me, and they don't really get going. If you're gonna get a party going, you have to have a little bit of something there to.
Can't you have people and music and fun without drinking?
Maybe
sure, but it helps.
When they get drunk, they change. I mean, they let themselves go, and everyone just thinks you can have a better time, whether it's true or not, when you're drunk. And so I think that just...
You don't even have to be drunk. It just gets you rolling,
Right.
I think another factor is that there's, in the basic communities around this area, there's not much else to do. Like maybe when you were a teenager or stuff, they had teen centers and there was dances every Friday night, but it's just not like that anymore. They don't have now, it's, they have a showbiz or some kind of pizza parlor, all the kids, video arcades, everything's changed. I think you have to look at that aspect of it too.
And going to the movies every Saturday night is not going to be as fun as going to party with all your friends.
Yeah, because you know that when you go to a party, there's going to be a lot of people there whereas where else can you go where you're going to see all your friends,
Okay, so there's not much hope for the situation, is what you're saying. Underage kids are going to continue to go and drink at parties.
Well, I think that if you're at a party with a friend who's getting in a car, I think it's easier if it's your friend. If it's your friend, I could say to my friend, don't drive, it's a dumb thing. Whether she listens to me or not is not the point, but I know I've tried to say to her, don't drink. And if I'm at a party, I can call a cab.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever called a cab?
Well, I've never been in that situation. I go to a party, and I will just know that I'm not going to be with someone who's going to be drinking if they're driving me.
Well, I've driven people home. I just say, come on, man, you're all over the place. I'll drive you, and it's no problem.
I think if you're mature enough, you'll know that if you're going to drink, you won't drink enough, and if you're going to drive, you won't drink too much, you know, or maybe you won't drink at all if you know you're going to drive that night. I think the basic thing is that when you go to a party, you know that you want to go to that party because you want to see all your friends, and when you get there, there's going to be people drinking. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to drink. I mean, you know, no one's at the door forcing you to drink. That's not the way it is, you know, it's your choice.
We wanted to try to talk about some other subjects, including the end of the Baltimore Colts season, but Julie was very excited about the President Reagan subject that the younger kids talked about, and you don't want to see him reelected.
No, I don't. I think that he hasn't done a good enough job. I think that the problem is that there are so many more poor people now because all the blue-collar workers are being laid off, and it's creating such a big difference between their poor people and white-collar workers, and the white-collar workers are getting richer and building up, and the blue-collar workers who did have an income are now losing it and becoming poor.
He said on his press conference, it's not that the poor are getting poorer, it's that the rich are getting richer, and not enough poor people are getting richer, and more poor people are getting laid off, and it's becoming a society of
and the middle-income people are becoming poor. They're not building up.
Exactly.
Well, that hasn't changed too much in a long time. I mean, presidents always say, oh, well, the poor people are going to be coming up, and we're going to help them out. It's all bull, and, you know,
poor people have to help themselves first. You know, they have to get out and get a job and look for things. But right now we're assuming that Reagan's going to run for re-election. We don't even know if he's going to run yet. And if he does, I don't think that he's done what he said he was going to do. He hasn't cut government enough. He hasn't kept his foreign policy the way he said. And I just don't think that if he ran, I would vote for him because I am 18. Yeah. But, of course, if he was going against Mondale or someone else, I think I might have to see it in my heart to vote for him.
Well, I mean, what really scares me is this thing with Lebanon and Grenada. And I mean, if the guy, every time he gets mad at a country, is going to parachute Marines in and going to shoot them up.
He's going to kill more Americans.
Well, he's just trying to keep peace there. He's trying to be the peacekeeping force there, but it's not helping because when you go over there and you're going to put your man... Well, look, you got
one at a time now, just like the old people.
You know, you can't go over there with a flower and look at a Syrian and say, would you please put your gun in? He's not going to do it.
I mean, that's just like you at school. Every time somebody has a fight, I'm going to go over there and stop the fight by punching his face in. That stops the fight, but, you know, it's...
Maybe, I think that, yeah, I don't think he can just go in and start his own little war over in Grenada. I think that maybe it should have been discussed more or something. Maybe later on it would have come to that. I don't think right away that he should have gone in and attacked.
Reagan wants to hold his ground and be determined and make sure that all the other countries know, or he wants the other countries to know that we are the best country and that he's boss and that you know, he's going to make the...
He's not showing that, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like he has no purpose over there. You know, he has to show authority. There has to be a purpose to go in and
do something.
Right.
He's sitting there. We're sitting ducks over there. We're not even on high ground anymore. We're in the middle.
As Chip said, we can't keep bombing. We can't keep bombing every country anytime that Reagan thinks something's doing wrong, because we're going to keep losing more and more of our men.
Countries
Exactly.
But
more people are going to be drafted, and more people are going to be killed, and
we're going to just let Israel take care of it. They know how to take care of things.
Even with what I said before, I think strength with diplomacy is common sense. But